want you to just complete this and then say you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm going to guide you through that. You just saw Matt. See what he was doing? It's the paperwork that he needs to send to Albany to get his license. He's going to take the exam in a couple months.
Okay.
All right. And then he'll pass the exam. Every student passed the exam. Okay? This is the exception. Student says to me, I said to him, did you pass the exam? No, I didn't, I said, did you study? Did you read the book? No. Well, it's like the guy that prays every night to God. Okay? I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. God, please, on and on and on. And day after day, night after night. Okay?
He didn't buy a ticket.
Hmm?
He didn't buy a ticket?
You're close. That's good. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, buy a ticket. Yeah, okay, you got that.
Mm-hmm.
You must have heard it before, or you figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have too much to say to a guy that didn't study. Come on. Okay. It's really a simple exam, and most of it is in this book.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So for the purpose of getting your license, you want to read this over thoroughly. There might be some contradictions in what we say in the classroom, but it's not, it's going to be embellishment, not really contradictions, okay? More updated information, and you're going to see the instructor we have is doing this for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a former firefighter. He was what do they call it? He was don't remember the title he had, but he was he retired, but he had a certain precinct or whatever the thing is, and he started doing that on the side, doing the inspections on the side. Mm-hmm. And then when he retired, then he's continued, and he's been doing it for, as I said, a long time. And he still does it. He's been tremendous because he's makes himself available to teach. And we have several instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are busy and don't teach right.
Sorry.
So you'll see a variety of instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because he mentioned Lewis, all right, Lewis has been doing inspections for probably 20 years, maybe 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he has got a gangbuster clientele, I guess you would put it. All right. He's always very busy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it's tough to get him in the classroom to teach sometimes, but he does, and he's well, you're going to see different personalities and different things. Matt mentioned about the drones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, instead of just sitting in a classroom learning about drones, You know, there are schools that don't do this. They only do it online, the classes. How the hell are you going to do anything with drones online?
I did the online class for drones, and then I got a 91 on the test.
Well, all right, that's all right.
He has.
But I think you'd be an exception.
No,
I think
maybe.
it's a little bit harder to do it that way.
Well,
You know,
I
but
think
you're a smart guy.
my brother did homeschooling for 3 years. You don't need to go to a classroom to learn. You can learn all by yourself, just as well or sometimes better.
Okay, all right. Well, I think you're going to learn a lot when you take this course.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And it's interactive. A lot of discussion, a lot of questions and answers and all that. And well, you'll see once you meet Ed. So
Mhm.
he's been at it so long, and I'm really happy that he's been with me for the 20 years that I've been in business. He's my original instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and he's like a legend in this field. But okay, I shouldn't say that. He doesn't like to, he's very humble too, and he admits that when he makes a mistake, and mistakes help you to learn, right?
Well, yeah. Those are usually the best people.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So, so the way this goes is you have the classes every single month of the year. And if there's an interruption, you come back and you jump right back in and you know and continue. You know, I had a student a while ago. Oh, it must be more than 10 years ago, I think. And he worked in a restaurant. And he had really crazy hours. He only had Mondays off.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So, so I made sure that I had classes on Mondays, and I could do that. It's my school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I can get an instructor to do it, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and people have gone. People that were born in other countries, China, a couple other countries. Lewis was born in what's the name of the El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very poor country. Anyway, he's so he's fluent in Spanish as well as English. He's been in the United States a long time. But what kind of questions do you have? I'm not sure. What need to know. You expressed some concern when we were talking about how much money it costs, right?
It's not really a concern.
Not really.
Well, the biggest concern is would it be worth it? Because I did another class that was $5,000, and I felt like it didn't really do much for me.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, I have plenty of money, but I don't know if it's.
So the best route you can take would. I'm not pressuring you. You can do what you want, but I did say you'll save $500 if you can get one payment.
Okay.
And all right. And you can go at your own pace. In terms of taking classes. So right now, you didn't you didn't go to work today because of, you came in.
But I'm getting paid for work today. I'm getting the paid time off.
Paid time off?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. There
Well-
he is. Hello, Ed.
Hello.
Open mouth.
Okay, this is Benjamin.
Hmm.
Yeah, hi Ben.
Hi.
Ben is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, there'll be others.
Okay.
What we can ask.
Well, I have Mondays off.
Have
Is
Monday.
is this always going to be on Wednesday?
Not always, but
I-
several times.
I could ask my manager to change my day off to Wednesday, I guess.
That might be helpful, because Ed likes to have days off in Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not, no,
Yep.
to work Wednesdays, and right, because
Yeah.
he goes up and down, seeing his grandchildren and such, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Ed has been backbone of the classes, because his, not only because of his great knowledge and experience, but also because he's committed to teaching.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and when people graduate from the course, they're pretty much ready to hit the ground running, right,
Okay.
Ed?
Yeah,
Okay.
good solve.
Yeah. Because
A lot of times they call me, for the first couple of weeks
And-
they're doing it.
and you
And
used
they
to
say, oh,
call.
I saw it, and they send me a picture. And then after a while, I stop calling. Because they're just comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, but you used to do that yourself.
Well, I played golf with a licensed plumber. So I used to pick his brain. We used to play on Friday. So I would see him and then, sometimes I had
I gotta
questions.
send this
But after a
invitation.
while,
But,
it's like limited. I asked him all those questions. You know what I mean? I don't have to ask him again. If I saw something that I never saw before, how often does that happen? Not often. And then I would ask Harry, when I see this, what do I tell people? What would you do? What should I do? And then he'd tell me, next time I saw it, I didn't have to call him. I already had that down, Like, for example, we have a plumber that comes here, he was he's a home inspector now. He's still doing plumbing, but one time, not that long ago, but it could be 2 years now, I was in the backyard and they didn't see the vent pipe come through the roof, the plumbing vent pipe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that, so, what's with that? I was inside, I was up in the attic, and in the attic at the top of the vent pipe, it didn't go through the roof. They had like a self vent, the pro vent, but for the whole house, for the main stack. And I called them up from the attic, and I said, Gene, I'm in this attic, and the plumbing vent doesn't go through the roof. And he says, oh yeah, it has a thing on, he described it. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. He goes, it's okay. He said, where are you? I'm in Nassau County. That's okay in Nassau County. Take my word for it, it's okay. So, we have a mold guy that, I don't know if he teaches anymore, but he used to teach. He was really sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him from an attic one day, and I showed him a picture of the mold and everything. He said, oh, this is what you got to tell the people what to do. I did that more than once with him. So it's good to have a resource. And the other thing is that I was probably doing this when I was your age, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't have YouTube and all this stuff, you know, like you could do your research on. It wasn't there, you know. You went to the library, you looked at a book, or you asked somebody. But now you could, you know, almost ask, you know, chat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you get savvy. It's like, it's not like, oh, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. But I know what to believe and what not to believe. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Makes sense, yeah. And Matt was saying you came from Jersey?
Yeah.
You live in Jersey?
I live in Garfield, New Jersey.
Oh, well, so you want to get a license in New Jersey, right?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. I mean, I'm here because someone I work with suggested that I come here.
Oh, yeah. Because you would have to check into that. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, could you go to school here and use that to get your Jersey license? What? In other words, you have to. Jersey's got their regulations. You got to do this, and there's no sense you doing something here and then saying, oh, that they're not going to accept that or something, you know. Because if you're going to work in Jersey, you have to have a Jersey license. In other words, I don't do inspections in Jersey. I don't have a Jersey license.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes it's reciprocal, like if I move to Jersey, they might have requirements, or they might say you could transfer, but I would have to pay and buy a license in Jersey too, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What do you do?
Are you on yet?
You know, what do you do for a,
Well, right now I'm working with the solar company,
oh, okay.
Sunrun.
Okay, so this
So I go around signing people for
the solar.
solar panels on the house.
We have a guy that does that too, but he has his own business.
Uh-huh. You know Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. He called me when I was on the train.
Oh,
Oh, okay, yeah,
you
Tom.
told him you're coming here?
Yeah. He said, oh, he can work with me after I get the license. And,
Oh,
Terrific.
uh-huh.
so Tom is doing inspections? Bill?
No, he's not licensed yet.
Oh,
He's
he
in,
can work on
you know, he was,
right.
he's on the other side of the pond.
Oh, he's in
He-
Europe?
Yeah, he's in,
New
England?
Jersey?
no, not Jersey.
New England, England.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ireland.
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 Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where he's calling from? Right now?
Well, I'm not sure if he's called me from there before.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know whether
Oh.
where he is right now.
Oh, okay.
But he took he's on the brink of finishing the course, but he's got other jobs and
Yeah, he's busy.
he's all over the place. He's very busy, but he'll eventually get that license, and he's been very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Tom a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
So it's good that you know him. How long you know him?
I don't know him.
Oh, you don't
Oh.
know him.
Janifa, who I know from work,
Right.
referred me to you and to Tom and saying,
Oh, Bill?
Excuse me a second. Hello?
Hey Bill, it's Kevin.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to send me the online class link?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
HVAC and safety first?
Absolutely, I'll do it right away.
Cool, thank you so
Sure,
much. I'll be out
sorry.
in about 30 minutes. I'm rushing home right now.
Oh, okay, sure.
Thank you, Bill. Bye.
Sure, bye.
Bill? I don't have the link attached to it. You sent me an email, but the link isn't on.
Right, okay.
All right.
the idea is
Yeah,
Tom wants me to have the license so that we could do business solar panel installations.
Yeah, and,
And because the solar company I'm with right now,
Yeah.
they only do residential.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people I meet who they own a business and they want to put the solar panels on their business. So we can't help them.
Then you could refer Tom, because Tom does commercial.
That's right.
hello?
You could sell a job for Tom,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
yeah. Did you get the link? I sent you a link.
Yeah.
Link was not attached.
Yeah, Bill, it's not attached.
Oh, all right.
Do you need
it's
help
my
with your
mistake then.
computer?
Okay. I'll send it out to you right now, okay? All right.
Do you need help with the computer?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a very patient person. I
All
can
right,
explain
good.
everything.
Yeah, you sound like that. Okay, so, yeah. So I have two guys I have to send the,
So you have people listening online right now.
yeah, well, just me so far. Okay. You didn't get it?
No, I got an email from you, but you didn't have the link on
That's weird. Okay.
there. Not
Oh,
for you,
so-
it's not you. It would normally be you.
Oh, God. All right, so,
Okay.
and you know, I'm really such a klutz with this. Okay. Thought for sure I sent that in. Okay. So, to Ed.
When you write this at the bottom, you should put room 201.
Hmm.
Because I was going to all the rooms in the building,
Really?
asking in the offices where it is.
Well, and he walked here from the train.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just trying to give you some exercise. that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So where is the trailer?
Let me get the
Farmingdale,
people on the,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Trains.
Yeah, downtown Farmingdale. So you had to walk out of town down to,
Hmm.
and you have to go back to the train.
Yeah.
Someone dropped off the train. No? They probably dropped them off the train. Right? You'll probably drop them off the train, yeah, I can make them walk back to the train, will you?
You could do that.
If he's a good way.
Whatever you like. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about. Less
Oh,
than,
40-minute walk?
yeah, less
Okay,
than, less
yeah.
than 2 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
yeah.
Sure.
We'll get you to the front.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, less than 2 miles, like 20 minutes a mile. Yeah. That's a slow walk, 20 minutes to a mile.
Right.
You probably walk a mile, 15 minutes, right? You're probably here in a half an hour.
I stopped over the casino area for a little bit. It's the first time I went. But, you know, going on the highway, I was a little extra careful.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, I didn't know it was gonna be partly on the highway.
yeah.
Okay. So this should go out to,
Okay, I'll go. I didn't get a new one yet. Oh, there we go.
got it? Okay, so then I'm gonna, turn it over to you.
Now, was it HVAC and safety or just HVAC? Phil,
HVAC, yeah.
just the whole 6 hours HVAC? There's no other subject tonight.
No, no. Okay, I sent you,
I got it, come on.
you're on.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here.
So,
Yeah, we're getting feedback on that. And make me the presenter, and then we
right,
can.
that's what I have to do, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Might wanna mute your microphone.
Yeah, that'll help.
I guess you're a little decent with electricity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about heating?
My dad did heating.
Did you help him, so you got a lot of?
Not so much.
No, to be an inspector, you don't have to be equivalent to an installer.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to recognize, like if you're looking at steam, you know how it works, you know what, instruments it has, like you got, I'll turn mine down. Let's say, if you have steam, when you look at the boiler, it's got a low water cutoff, it's got a sight glass, it's got pressure temperature relief valve, you can see, the header for the steam and the return, and, Harvard loop in the back, like you have to recognize all these things, make sure they're there. And then, like sometimes you see these houses were built, the early 1900s, they had steam, like 1910, 1920, they had steam in the house, and these pipes are old steel pipes.
Right.
And sometimes people come and they put some changes, and they put copper pipes, and copper pipes on the pressure side aren't that good, because copper is solid. Now, in steam you have higher temperature, higher pressure, sometimes I've been to houses where they have used copper on the pressure side of the steam system. I found leaks, where if it's steel, usually they're gonna thread the pipe and put the steel in, and they're not gonna have that problem. So you get familiar with things, you recognize things.
Copper's more bendable.
Oh yeah, copper is
Maybe
lighter,
that's-
it's easy to work with, but,
And maybe that's why it's a problem with steam.
well, not so much bending. It's just that at the joints, it's not like a threaded steel pipe.
Right, but
Yeah.
it's not as strong.
Yeah, and, on the return now, say your return pipes go, and you bring the water back to there's no pressure in that, you just bring the water back to the boiler with gravity. Copper's fine.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, when you're, hot water, baseboard hydronic system, that has other pluses and minuses, but you have to recognize when something's wrong, or they did something wrong, or, you know, this wasn't professional, this wasn't up to standards or something, cause let's say you were buying a house, and I inspected the house, and I didn't tell you some things, and then you start having problems with them. I said, well, if I had a decent inspector, he could have seen this coming, you know, he could have warned me, you buy this house, and maybe, you know. Yeah. Yeah, like sometimes I'm looking at the, you know, the bathroom and there's something, it's evidence of some type of problem, you know, leak or something.
Right.
Then I tell you, but I have to recognize that, you know,
Okay.
yeah. All right, I'm on, Bill.
You're on, right?
I am. And you turned your volume down, you made me the presenter?
Right.
Okay, I could turn my volume back up then.
Hmm.
We were getting feedback.
Once in a while, I guess, the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, we're talking about tonight, HVAC. Yeah. So there's, you know, Jersey's like Long Island. You know, we have different type of heating systems. Oh, Long Island, we have a lot of hot water, baseboard,
Mhm.
radiators. We also have steam in kind of the older villages, steam. You know, nobody builds a house today, or, you know, I go to a house that's built in 1960, it doesn't have steam. You know, but if I go to some town like Freeport on Long Island, that, you know, near the village, there's a lot of old houses built in 1920 or something, they're all steam, you know.
Mhm.
So a lot of times you pull up to a house and you kinda expect steam, expect hot water, you know. We have warm air. Now, we also have electric. We have, like a hybrid, they have a hot water boiler and then what they call hydronic air. So the boiler heats up water for like a radiator in the duct system. In other words, the air handler blows air by this heating coil, which is full of hot water, and it warms up the air. So it has a hot water boiler, but it's a warm air.
A
system.
duct system?
Yeah, so they call it hydro air. A lot of builders like to use that because they use the ducts for air conditioning too. So they
Mhm.
build a house, they use the ducts and put this hydronic system for hot, warm air, and then they put an evaporator over the boiler for the air conditioning. Actually, sometimes have a unit, it looks like that locker or refrigerator, and it's all set up for the hydronic and the air conditioning. And you install a boiler and you hook up the hot water to that,
Mhm.
and then you hook up the air and you send your refrigerant to that, and there's a blower in it, and it blows and
Mhm.
makes, and sometimes there's one in the basement, one in the attic, you know, and now we're getting a lot more, especially new, heat pumps,
Mhm.
a lot of heat pumps now. Current, like, let's say, I go to a house that's built in 1990, there's no heat pump,
Mhm.
you know, it's not gonna, but, go to a house that's built in 2025,
Mhm.
good chance a heat pump, yeah. Heat pumps, duct or ductless, multiple heat pumps.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah,
It's just the air conditioner in reverse.
yeah, now, is that the main heat for your house?
No, it's more like secondary.
Yes, right, but they're building houses now, that's the heat,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not secondary. It's the heat, yeah. Yeah, I have air conditioning in my house, and I'm thinking, like, next time I have to replace the air conditioner, maybe I put a heat pump in and just use the heat pump certain seasons, you know, what it's gonna be, $2,000 more to have a heat pump than air conditioning, you know? I don't know what the difference in price is, but it's not gonna be.
It's included with the air conditioner I had installed.
I understand. What I'm saying is, let's say I have air conditioning, if I
Right.
just replace that compressor
Mhm.
and the evaporator, let's say the guy's gonna do it for 7,000.
Mhm.
I say I want a heat pump, it's gonna be more.
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, yeah, the compressor's gonna be more. Well, I looked into it a couple of years ago. I'm not doing it now, but to buy a heat pump was more, you know.
Okay.
It's the reason, you know, this compressor does air, this does both, and it's a little bit more. Yeah,
Here's a cup,
But
I'll drink
it
the
is-
tap water.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
it is the same unit, it's a reversing valve.
Right.
Yeah,
Each time I got one, it was not more for heat pump. It's included with the air conditioning unit that I had installed.
yeah, right. But the
Same price.
contract was for, you know, that's what I'm
Mm.
saying. Like I have air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
To replace that compressor, it's gonna be cheaper than to replace it with one that does a heat pump. So, original contract, it's a heat pump, there's no difference in price. And then sometimes, according to my HVAC guy, it, like if, let's say, for example, my air conditioner's Rheem now. You're gonna go to a heat pump, put it in a Bosch.
Mhm.
I mean, a little bit of that too, you know. They're, you know, he thinks they're out front with the heat pumps. You know, that's the one he would put in his house,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And that could change, you know, sometimes I'm 2 years behind and, you know, last time I had a conversation with somebody. Yeah, and now, a lot of times when we're doing inspections, you're gonna be in a conversation with your client,
Mm-hmm.
and you never put yourself out in front of the contractor. You know, like, oh yeah, maybe you could do this, and if it's electrical problem, but talk to your electrician. He's gonna better advise you on how you should correct this, upgrade this, do whatever I recommend, you know, so I wouldn't be on the property telling people, well, if you're gonna get a heat pump, get a box, no. You talk to your HVAC guy, you don't wanna get involved like, oh, Ben, you told me to get a Bosch, I got a Bosch, and now I'm really upset about it, it didn't work out for me. No, discuss it with your HVAC guy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you don't wanna get in a canoe
Mhm.
with somebody else. You inspect it out, you wanna get out of there, you don't wanna, you know. So let's say I had a boiler and the pressure temperature relief valve is going,
Mm-hmm.
is dripping. Okay. A lot of times it's the expansion tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knock on the expansion tank, it's saturated, so, and then I tell my client, you know, you're gonna have to replace the expansion tank, this is dripping. That's not the way I would say it as a home inspector. It's dripping, often it's the expansion tank. Call your service company, let him diagnose and tell you what, because if they replace the expansion tank and it's a relief valve and we'll say, well, you told me I would fix it, you know what I mean? No, I didn't, I told you, I referred you. You certainly have a concern that has to be corrected, but I referred you to,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And not only that, let's say we'll talk about something more, you know, personal to you. You know, let's say you're really familiar with the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're inspecting a house and it has a solar system, and you are diagnosing it, you know, there's a problem with it. Well, I think if you replace this, you know, you'll probably, no, you know, I mean, you could, you know, find out, observe, run it, and see that there's a problem, but you tell them to call a solar company and let them take full responsibility for fixing it. know, not, I did what Ben said. Yeah. The reason why I'm telling you that is, I learned it from the students, you know. The students that were actually home inspectors like me, that taking continuing ed. And, you know, we had that in our class in Huntington. One of the guys, you know, those two men used to come in from pillar to post or something, I forget the
Oh,
guy's
yeah,
name.
yes.
Yeah, but the one had a franchise, the other had his franchise.
Yeah.
And he
They
did
each
that
had a
with
certain
electric.
change, yeah.
He had concern at a house, he inspected a house. And then, let's say there was something wrong with the electric service, the mast, the wire, and he said, oh, you have to change this, you have to change that, on a report. And then the real estate got an electrician involved, he did those things, but there was more to doing it. And the home inspector figured if a licensed electrician came, he was gonna do everything that was needed. No, he just did what the home inspector said, you need this, this, and this. So, when it came, the lady needed more, oh, you failed me, not the electrician. You know, he said, I think I got screwed, you know, I never thought an electrician would come in. So I had, shortly after that, I learned when I teach these classes. Shortly after that, I go to a house and it has lots of electrical concern. The conduit's outside, I'm up in the attic and, they have wires spliced together, no junction box. I go in a crawl space, same thing in a crawl space, no junction box, just wires spliced together, no box at all, no, so there was lots of, I took pictures and I put like collage of like 7 concerns with the electric, you know, the outside, in the attic, in the crawl space, God knows what they did you know, where I wasn't seeing. And then I said, before you buy this house, have an electrician come and examine the wiring and get an estimate to fix what's needed to be fixed. And she sent me a letter from the sellers, we'll fix this, this, and this. I told them, absolutely, do not sign that letter. I sent you the observable electrical concerns that I saw. That wasn't a full electric inspection, that's what was visible to me. There certainly may be more electrical problems, and you could almost hear from, I'm talking, you would suspect there's more. So I said, do what I said, have a licensed electrician come and do a full assessment. You know, if he wants to rewire part of the house or something, you know, that's what needs to be done, not correct, you know. In other words, I said, my report to you is not a work order. Yeah, that's the mind thought of going to somebody's house. You tell them everything, you see everything, you tell them every concern, you never withhold anything from them. But you don't tell them how to fix it. I'll give you an example with the structure. Say there's a problem with the girder. Say somebody took a column out, and you've probably heard of this, you know, somebody wants to put a pool table down the basement, they take out a column, the column's in the way to finish in the basement. And what I do, sometimes I put a flitch plate in, sometimes they don't, sometimes they change the girder, a piece of steel. But anyhow, I noticed this problem. Oh, and upstairs the floor's gone. So they just took the column out. I know they did in this house. And then I don't say, call a contractor and put a new column in. You know, call a contractor, there's a problem with your girder, there's a problem with the, you know, appears they took a support out, but in other words, get an estimate from him. Maybe he wants to put a flitch plate in, maybe he wants to put a piece of steel in, maybe he just wants to put a column, you know what I mean? But he goes to that house, he gives him an estimate, gives him a price, anything wrong after that, between those two, not anything I told him to do. because once I tell him, you know, put a column in, and there's a problem with it, he says, well, I did what your inspector said to do. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, I'm pulled back into this, yeah, yeah. So it's like Matt that just left, he's a contractor. I'm sure he could fix things better than I could fix things, you know, you'd rather have him put in your new bathroom than me. That's what he does. But him going to inspect the house, I might, just from my experience, notice things that he's not used to noticing because he doesn't have to. He goes, people say, need a new bathroom. Yeah, he gets him a new bathroom. Now, when he opens up the bathroom, he finds something else, oh, you need this. It's add on, you know, to the price or something, you know. He goes downstairs and there's no place to put the, you know, new wiring for that bathroom. They got to upgrade that, you know, he tells them, get an electrician, you have to upgrade.
Upgrade the panel.
When I'm at the house, I have to notice these things. I have to notice everything. It's a different mindset, in other words. I have to notice things that people have to do now, or shortly, or, you know, in the very near future, or sometimes what goes wrong in a house is that somebody comes in, especially in Long Island, handy dandy does it, you know what I mean? Maybe it works, maybe it lasts 20 years, maybe it doesn't, you know, but once it doesn't, and then a contractor comes in and says, did you have this house inspected? They shouldn't use this type of connection for plumbing, or, you know, I mean, this doesn't meet code, or, you know, so that's prevalent handyman work. You know what I mean? So I have to notice, like, this is not industry standards, you know, this is below par work, so you have a problem with it after they leave the house, you know, sometime after that, and somebody comes and criticizes you, look at the report, oh yeah, Ed noticed that, you know, that wasn't done right, it was working, you know, not leaking, but, yeah, there's a lot of times you open underneath the sink and this was no licensed plumber that did this work, you know what I mean? I go to a lot of houses like that, like this guy, or it's him and his brother-in-law, or somebody. I did a house like that recently in my neighborhood. The guy, very nice guy that's selling the house, but he hired fools to do everything at that, you know what I mean? So I told people, you buy this house, every time you have a contractor who's gonna come in and say, oh, who did this, you know, I gotta do this, you know, because that's the kind of work the guy put into his house. Yeah. So I think it's mostly observations, really. I mean,
Yes.
you have to. Oh, we have somebody here? Oh,
Yeah.
Joe. Oh,
Hey, how you doing?
okay. You know, I didn't see you. I had something in the way here. Okay.
I just making sure you hear me.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I heard you.
I've been
Yeah.
listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a new student in the class, and trying to explain to him different mindsets that we have, you know. Yeah, the difference between knowing how to do something and knowing how to install something, and maybe noticing that, you know, there's work to be done on this house. The guy in my neighborhood who was selling the house, was a very, very nice man. He's gone now. New people are in. But I walked onto the property and you could see, like that, his electric service was screwed up. You know? He had the SEC cable, it was all tape on or frayed. It was a mess. And then there was a couple other things I noticed outside with this service, and I said to him, "Oh, you know, electric service needs upgrading, this is damage. He says, oh, well, everything's fine, I'm not blowing fuses, you know, I had my friend here, and I went inside, and, yeah, he had his friend there. It was like his friend should be chased down the block with a bat or something, you know. He had crazy stuff you would never see. His friend, I guess, you know, knew something. He had a conduit. The electric service came into the garage. The garage is converted to living space. And then he had, from the electric box, he moved the panel from the electric box. This is, the panel's supposed to be like within about 3 feet of the meter pan, or it has to have a shut-off. And that's the main shut-off. And that's an electrical safety concern. You can't have the meter pan and then have a wire run 25 feet in your house to a panel and then a shut-off. Because how do you shut off that 25 feet of service cable? It's gotta blow at the pole. There's no shut-off to the panels. Even if you had a fire in the house, that long electric wire is charged, you know, unless it blows a fuse on the pole. So he had something like that, and his electrician had finished the floor in the garage is slanted, you know, to pitch out, so in case you have a leak in your car, something runs out to the driveway. You know, a garage floor is not level, it's always pitched towards the door. So people, when they convert it to living space, they level off that floor, like they put sleepers in and put a floor. So he ran a conduit underneath that floor, put a panel somewhere in the basement. You know, it was just a mess. And then, but that's how he did things. He had that house had a missing column, but he had, you know, a flitch plate. Well, you could see this was nothing by design. You know, boards going every which, you know, like this is not done by permit, not done by drawing.
Rube Goldberg.
Yeah, everything. You know, he just. I think it's a friend of mine used to have an expression: "Shot by price, pay twice." And I always think of, you know, these people trying to get it done on a cheap. You know, the guy's maybe a nice guy, a banker or something, but he, you know, shouldn't be contracting out for work, you know, or deal with better people. You know.
That's Kevin.
Oh, good. So mainly the subject is tonight HVAC, which I guess we include heating, but you know, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So we have all types of heat. You know, some of these, and you probably have in Jersey too. Some of these senior citizen communities out in Long Island have radiant heat. Well, I wouldn't say Levittown have radiant heat in the floor. They have electric heat. Like if you go out to Leisure Knoll or something, you know, the 55 community, they actually have electric heat. They usually have a thermostat in every room and then an electric baseboard. You know, that's a little pricey. Those things are changing now. Like my friend lives in Warren. Got electric heat for years, but now he's got a heat pump.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got the electric heat in the house, which he could use to augment on a real cold day or something, his heat pump. But he saved a lot of money because if you're using a heat pump, it's about a third of the price of, you know, just electric heat.
Right.
Because of the compressor.
Right. It's moving heat instead of creating it.
Yeah. So great with the heat pump, you know, best thing he ever did.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go out there to this, you know, his neighbors, they still have the electric heat, you know. And I have to know how I check the electric heat. What these heat is one particular thing, like most of the house were visually observing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the foundation, the girders, the columns, the sill, you know, the sill in the garage, the attic, the framing, you know, the sheathing in the attic. And, you know, it's observation. We're looking at windows that they're shaped, you know, not racked, the doorways and, you know, plumb and level. That's a lot of the inspection, you know, driveway is not cracked, it's settled, but heat is one of those things we turn on. How are we gonna inspect the heat in the house without turning it on? We turn on the air conditioning certain times a year. We don't turn on the air conditioner when it's 30 degrees outside.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not like we ignore it. You know, like I'll go to a house, say go to a house in Garden City, and it has air conditioning, and it's 30 degrees out. If they have it covered, I may take the cover off, so I could see, I'll put it back, the way it was. But I may take the cover off, the compressor outside, and look at the label and see what the refrigerant is and year of manufacture. You could always get the year of manufacture from the serial number. You know, I'll see those things, I'll see how it's installed, you know, I'll look at the insulation on the refrigerant line, you know, the electric cutoff, you know, exterior.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go inside, I'll look at the evaporator, look at the pan, you know, in the attic, you know, so I'll look at the workmanship, but I'm not turning on the air conditioning, because it's 30 degrees. My report will read that the air condition wasn't turned on because of the weather conditions outside, you know. That's a normal, you know, normal air to air, you know, refrigeration, you know, air conditioning. You know. So, you know, that raises in my mind, we have geothermal on Long Island too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the compressor is inside. It's not, the refrigerant maybe not necessarily that cold, you know. I'll have to ask my friend that, you know.
They heat the house by injecting.
Yeah, right, but I'm just saying, we don't turn the air conditioners on in winter, right?
No.
Okay, but I'm saying when you have geothermal, there might be a lot less risk because, you know, in the ground source, the ground is not gonna be 30 degrees. And the compressor is inside, that's not gonna, yeah, but
55 degrees.
I don't turn on the, you know, the ground source if it's real cold. You know, I just say it's not the season for air conditioning. I'll turn it on. And the heat pumps, I turn on the heat pumps if it's cold weather, I turn them on heat mode. Usually don't change the mode that people have in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go in your house and it's on heat mode, I run it on heat mode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't turn it to air conditioning on switch. You know, I figure if it's running on heat, it's gonna, you know, it's doing the same thing.
Most likely it'll
Yes.
work both ways.
Right, of course, it's throwing the heat outside or it's taking the heat from outside, either
Right.
one, yeah. So that's another, oh yeah. Sometimes you see these things that, you see them for the first time. You know, as
Mhm.
technology changes. I remember, I'm doing it for 40 years. I remember the first time I saw the hydro air.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking and turn on heat and getting heat, and it's warm air heat or something, and then they go down the basement and see a boiler. I was like, what the fuck? What's a boiler? Now, it's the first time I ever saw one, and I doped it out, because I could see where the pipes are going, and okay. And then, after that, I knew that, but I didn't even know there was such a thing as hydro-air the first time I saw it. And then, several years ago, they had a geothermal air, and I'm at a high-end development, high-end, and I'm walking around the house, and there's no air conditioning compressor. There's no air conditioning. We're talking $1 million house here, so they didn't take out the air, And then when I went inside, and then I could see the compressor, and I could see water pipes running outside to the geothermal. Now I know what's going on, But I mean, if I walked on that property today and I didn't see the air conditioner, I'd probably say, oh, the guy's geothermal, So it's, there's an evolution of things current things and old things too. When I first started inspecting houses on Long Island, lots of them, majority of them need new service. Because they were built 50s, 60s, they had 100 amp service. I would go to development after development and be 100 amp service, small box. Some of them had, what do they call it? I'll get the word for it. Or split boxes. You never see them anymore. Pushmatic boxes, Federal Pacific box. Lots of houses I would go. And now, the majority of houses that I go to are in that age group. When Long Island was built, as you're coming out, Long Island's built 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, when they started developing the farms. And so now I could see, like I go to development, everybody had a 100 amp panel. Well, now almost everybody has 200 amp. They've all been upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm standing in the driveway, and let's say you were buying a house, and so, this is old square meter pan. This is 100 amp service. But look, your neighbor on the other side of the driveway, they got 200 amps. See, they got new service. That's what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
You cross the street, look down their driveway, you see they got a 200, they got a 200, you know what I mean? So there was a period where everybody needed 200. Now it's almost everybody's got it.
Mm-hmm.
So those things evolve. There was. I remember when I was young, I was doing, like I would go to a bathroom. They didn't have Wonderboard, Hardy bag. Stuff wasn't. It wasn't material you put in a house. They had the old houses had lath and mortar or lath and plaster or something. But there was a period where they built houses and they had the green board. And every week I would find soft walls and the tile walls around the top. Every week. 1, 2, 3 a week. Oh, you need new tubs around. Oh, you need new tubs around. I don't come across that anymore. They're all, push on as hard as a rock. They're all they've all been upgraded to one. I can't remember the last time I saw a bathroom with a green board. Because by this time they have failed and they have been upgraded. So, yeah. Or, going back in time, I used to see a couple times a year, 110 service. It wasn't 220.
Mm-hmm.
They would just have one leg. My friend saw one the other day. He sent me a picture. I said, "Oh, that had a 220 amp panel, that one leg coming in and jump to the other leg. So they're all working it. But I used to see that fairly regularly. you
So they
know.
had 2 panels.
No, it's, you can't buy like a 110 panel now.
Right.
So he's buying a 220 panel. But he's only got 110 coming into the house.
Oh.
So like a 110 comes down like
Mm-hmm.
for the A circuit breaks, then there's a jumper wire for the B, so they're all, so they could use that pattern.
Oh, I see.
I have a picture on my phone. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to see that quite a while, or it wasn't even upgraded to a 220 panel, it was just 110 coming in and a panel for 110, you know. That's how the house was built.
Mm-hmm.
You know, houses weren't built with 220. Or sometimes I'd be in Queens where the houses are attached, and the lateral would come into the house, or I had, remember the guy, I think was his name Peter, the guy from England that time, with the British accent? Long time ago, anyhow.
No, Tom.
I'm not talking about the solar guy, I'm talking way before that, when you were in Huntington. His name could have been Tom too. I think it was Pete though. I went to a house in Queens, and the lateral came in, and it was 110 for the house we were in, but you could see 220, it just wasn't opened, it went to the house, attached house next door. So to have one lateral, it would come in underground to house A, and then there would be a conduit to house B. And then, I said, Pete, come, man, this is 110. You're probably never gonna see this again. You know? I haven't seen it in years, and I think that's how long ago it was, like, maybe it's 20 years now. It's the last time I saw 110 come into a house, but I used to see it regularly. And I used to, here's another thing that involved, I used to go to a house and a lot of chimneys were damaged. Loose bricks, damaged crown, you know, over and over again. I don't hardly see that, because what happens is that they got so bad, they're almost all upgraded now, you know, those age houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or I used to see, a long time ago, like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they had brick chimneys with no lines. They were just brick chimneys. They didn't have a line. I haven't seen one of them in a long time, because what happens is that time goes by, now that chimney might be still there, but there's a line in there, you know, the time's caught up with them.
Eventually, people decided to update it.
Well, because they had to.
Well, yeah, sure.
Problems, yeah. I mean, that's, years ago in New York City, they didn't have chimney lines.
Mm-hmm.
They had so many chimney fires that you got a fine if you had a chimney fire. Like you see the old movies with the chimney sweeps in
Mhm.
England, and that, because that was brick with lime mortar. They didn't have cement in those days. And eventually that mortar would deteriorate from the weather and water coming down, and then you'd have a fire in a fireplace. And the heat would go right through that damaged mortar joint into some part of the structure of the house. But like I said, some of these outdated things, you just don't see anymore, you know. No, we'll see something else, you know, it just keeps evolving.
Mm-hmm. So in those days, the chimney fires were caused by the dirt, the chimneys being too dirty, and that's why they had the chimney sweeps
Well,
to clean
wasn't
it
it
out.
dirty? It was dirty because they used wood, but in other words, we didn't have cement.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have cement. So there was, in the mortar mix between bricks, there was no cement.
Mm-hmm.
And you could maybe go to an old house even today, like with a brick foundation.
Mm-hmm.
That house is from the 1800s, you know, I mean 1880, 1890, you know, somewhere. Because before the bricks, they had bricks been around for a long time, but they had rubble. But anyhow, sometimes even in rubble, like a brownstone in Brooklyn, I used to take my screwdriver and put it in the mortar joint, it would be like sand, it would fall out. You can't do that today with concrete. So what happened is that if you're inspecting a house, you pull up on a curb and you see a brick foundation. That's an old house. Because once they came out with concrete, they didn't right away go to reinforced concrete foundation, they went to concrete block. There were no more brick foundations once they went to concrete block.
How long ago was that?
Like I said, I always think of it around the turn of the century. Yeah. Yeah, okay. You could probably look up when was, I don't know, cement and, no, what was the formula for cement? You know, how did that evolve? And I think it evolved over in Europe. Because you can imagine, you have a lot more masonry in Europe. So they're the first ones that came up with cement. And then it was imported here, so that evolved into blocks and putting the cement in the mortar, and then eventually, well, somebody go, why don't we just make a concrete foundation, you know, make forms, and but that evolved. Just like the plaster and sheetrock, and that evolved too. Like, there's a certain period on Long Island, I'm sure it's in Jersey too, you go to a house, and they had lath board
I have that in my house.
with the holes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the wooden,
No, that's lath.
on the wall.
No, in other words, before sheetrock,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a 4x8 panel with holes in it. And they would put the plaster over, and the holes would catch the plaster instead of the wood like you have. You have an old house, so you have, that's wood lath.
Mhm.
This lath board wasn't out long because, let's say your house is 1930s, say, you know, give or take.
1920 something.
Okay, yeah, could be 1923, 29, but, okay. So they didn't have sheetrock. But they didn't go right from what you had to sheetrock, they went to lath board, which had holes in it, and then probably somebody said, oh, why are we putting these holes? Why don't we just use this board? And they plastered up the seams in the sheetrock, so it was only out, like, wasn't a long period, didn't last 10 years or 20 years or something, you know. Yeah, so a lot of times, how would we know this?
Because you've seen it.
No, but we're up, so you could figure this out. Let's say I'm doing this for years and years and years, so I know, you know, I just catch it right away. But you're inspecting a house and you're up in the attic and you pick up the insulation to see what type of lath they had, sheetrock, lath board, plaster, you know, you see the plaster and wood lath. And you see, looks like sheetrock with holes in it, and then plaster's coming through the holes. You figured it out, you know what I mean? I inspected a house, I knew what it was, I might have caught it faster, but you're being observant and looking at everything and you find it, you know. So it doesn't mean that you missed it or because, you know, I almost have a sense, I've been in a neighborhood like that, I know what they, you know, things like that, like I have it like that, maybe it took you a little longer with that, because maybe that's the first one you saw since you're inspecting, you know. And that's what's good about classes like this, like Joe's there, Kevin's there, we're all inspecting houses. So we see these things, you know, and so a lot of things that I know and learned, I learned in the class here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from somebody, you know, they call learning vicariously. I don't have to get hit with a sledgehammer, you know, like you told me something that happened to you, and then, like if Tom is talking about solar, Tom is here and we're having a class or something, he's talking about solar, I listen, you know what I mean? Like, Yeah, he did have a class, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But so sometime we had a guy here was worked for Meenan or Petro.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's his name? He moved to Florida?
Maybe. I inspected a house for him. He actually installed my hydro air in another house that I don't live in that house. I used to live in Comac. He installed that unit that I was talking about in my house. He installed the unit, he installed the air conditioning, and my friend Harry, the plumber, hooked up the heat to it, you know. Yeah, so, yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, I met him a few times. He came out, with me, but when we were doing the heat, maybe take a step back, you know. I forget his name. But I remember him telling me, like, we'd look at a boiler, and he'd say, oh, this type of boiler, you have to go around back. Bless you. You have to go around back, because sometimes they have a burn through or something, you know, they're prone to this. Ooh, you know, good. You know, like you learn things from people that do it. You know, like my friend that was a plumber, he didn't like installing Axman Anderson boilers.
Can you read it?
You know, he didn't like Axman Anderson boilers. And instead, if you look at the boiler, have a lot of gaskets on it. So he would tell me, you know, I installed a boiler for a guy, and then 12 years later, he's calling back to change the gasket, because they go. I don't want that call back, I just want to put his boiler in and never see him for 30 years, you know? So I like to, you know, put in Burnham or Fearless or something, you know. I had a problem with Axman Anderson. I don't put them in anymore, unless the people have bought it, made me put it in, you know. But you can learn a lot from, you got friends in the trades, you know, you can learn a lot from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that's what you have to do. Maybe not learn from them, but I'd say you become a home inspector, you get a license to go inspect houses. Now, people that hired you expect you to know everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy doesn't know about that, you know what I mean? Like you know, that's their anticipation. I called Ben over, and Ben inspects houses, so he should surely be familiar with this, you know. You can't go, oh, no, I never saw this before, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of bring yourself up to, let's say, when I was first started inspecting houses. But I had a engineering degree, but I didn't really know anything about, or hardly anything about residential wiring or something, you know what I mean? I didn't do that, you know, I learned how to analyze circuits and everything in school, but, you know, just, it wasn't like I couldn't learn it, but I felt like it was a weakness. So, I remember from golf, certainly was an avid golfer, now I'm an aging golfer, but I remember reading Jack Nicklaus. Because years ago, you had to read books. There was no YouTube, you know, how to swing golf club.
Right.
There was nothing like that. So you had to read books, or, you know, have friends that are ahead of you. And then I'm reading Jack Nicklaus said, if you can't hit your 3-iron, well, don't leave it in the bag. Take the 3-iron out and hit it all the time. You'll get good at it. Makes sense. So if
Yeah, right.
you're inspecting houses, like sometimes contractors, like Gary said, oh yeah, electrical was never my thing, it was called electrician, you know what I mean? Now you're inspecting houses, you kind of have to make it your thing. So electrical maybe wasn't my strong point, because I had civil engineering, and the structure maybe was my strong point, not electrical. But I had to make it my strong point, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had to concentrate, and that's when people are talking about it and seeing it, and, you know, now you have the YouTube, that is pretty good. I would have to say that. You know, other things on the internet, you know, you could actually see somebody install a panel or something, you know, you could even sometimes ask questions on the internet and get good feedback, good information. But, another thing I used to worry about when I first started inspecting houses was water. You know, like you'd hear about these houses, oh, you know, I bought a house that's on underground stream and there's water going in. And I used to, when I first started inspecting houses, I had a mentor that hired me and trained me. But, you know, I still, what business do I have to go to somebody's house and tell them they're gonna get water, not get water or something, you know? I'm not sure myself. But then you have to get good at that, you know, you have to learn as much as you can about that. I talk about water, and then a lot of times you have to know who to recommend. So you wouldn't know, but I don't know how I met him. He was a hydrologist,
Mm-hmm.
and he was really good with water. But he was a spy in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and he got captured,
Wow.
and he was beat up, and he was tough to look at.
Mm.
Like, he came over my house one day, and I told my wife, you know, how to prepare her. You know, I can't even think of his name now, you know, but Bob is out in the driveway, you come and say hello, but just brace yourself, because that's how, you know, his jaw was out of
face?
shape, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But, wonderful guy, though. Like, people used to get thousands of dollars for estimates, you know. He'd go fix it for 800 or something, you know. He just knew what he was doing, you know.
Mm.
Now it's 800, you know, that was a long time ago. Now maybe it would be 1,500 or something, you know. Things have gone up. But, you know, the equivalents would still be the same. He just, you know, someone's gonna put a drain system in your house, and he would just fix the terrain outside and fix the foundation where it come in, so. And give you a guarantee this is gonna solve it. Yeah. Maybe I'll drive home, I'll remember his name. Yeah.
When you say get water, you mean like they would get water in the basement? There was some kind of leak. Yeah.
Yeah,
For what?
lots of houses. Oh, well, what I have to say, and probably Joe would agree with me, or Kevin would agree with me, is that you get a little savvy. You've been in there and had a lot of houses. I don't think that could get by me. Look, you're going to become a home inspector. Your home inspector, probably your best attribute is to be paranoid, that you're going to miss something. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I never like to come, oh, that's never gonna get by me, you know, I know everything. That's not a good attitude to go there with.
Mm-hmm.
But I do notice that people have tried to get by me, and it's kind of hard, because once you know where to look and what to do, it's tough, you know. And we do have, today we have moisture detectors, moisture meters, or something that we didn't have. You know, when I first started inspecting the house, we had a screwdriver and a flashlight, you know. That was it. I don't even think we had a Phillips. I'm kidding, but, you know, it was close to that. That's all you needed was a regular screwdriver and a flashlight. Yeah. Maybe a pen. Yeah, so you would see, as you're a home inspector, you go down a house, and okay, it comes to your mind, what's the moisture condition down this basement? When you have columns, if it's exposed, it's unfinished basement, you're always gonna have rust at the base of the columns. if they're having water problems down there. You got stairs, you got stringers, right? You go behind the stairs, under the stairs, and you've got water stains there, you know. You can't have some level of water come in the basement, that stain doesn't go away.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you look at that, and not only that, every time you do an inspection, you do the outside first. You know, you don't ring the bell and go in the house. You ring the bell, you tell the people there, you're on the property, and you look around the outside. All the time, every time. So you're looking at the roof, you're looking at the chimney, you're looking at the windows, you're looking at the driveway, you're looking at the stoops, you're looking, and you're looking at the terrain. So now, before I even open that front door, I know where the weak spots for moisture is. I know the backyard is pitching towards the house. And I'm gonna have to pay a lot of attention to the rear foundation wall because of conditions back there, or the side, or the right side, left side, front, you know, or a lot of times people don't maintain the, you know, the grading around the house. It was maybe installed properly to begin with, now it's taken a little set, or gardeners come and keep adding mulch, or, you know, there's lots of things that happen outside that could affect the drainage. So when I go in that front door, I already know what I think are gonna be the weaknesses inside. Just from, the water comes from outside. Like, you know, the weeds and gutters and drainage and, you know, like the, you know, quickly learn the enemy of a house is water. You know, through the roof, through the windows, through the siding, you know, through the electric, through the, you know, brings rodents, you know, like the enemy is water. That's the whole thing with the outside of the house, is to shed the water and guide the water away from the house. You can't let the water, you can't neglect it. Like if you're gonna neglect it and the terrain by your house isn't pitched away, then eventually you're gonna have water leaning against your house. It's not a boat, it's gonna come in. So, you know, so you learn a lot of things outside before you come in, and then you've learned a lot of things through the years of what to look for inside, and plus what you just saw outside. You pretty much know where to go, where to make sure it's okay, you know. Another thing is with the grading. My friend's daughter bought a house. He didn't have the inspector. He had another friend. So anyhow, he didn't have an inspector. And then he had problems with the house, and told me he bought a house in Long Beach, and he had brick veneer on the house. And the old Italian guy owned the house. He always had gardens in back of it, but he actually raised the grade of his soil in the backyard. And the grade was above the sill of the house. So moisture came through the brick into the sill, the whole sill in the back of his house was all rotted. Now, when I got there, I knew it's gonna be rotted, but he had a friend inspect the house, and, you know, I told Mike, well, the grade is above the sill, it's gotta be rotted. He said, you know, so he was defending his friend, that inspector. I didn't care, I have no skin in the game now, I'm just there to help him fix it. He says, well, he couldn't see that. Yeah, but you could see that the grade was above the sill, you know. You know, just like if you had the siding, the garage come down to the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that grade is at the ground level. If the ground level was higher, then sill's got to be rotted, right? Has to be, because the moisture and the insects are going to seep through. It's impossible for it to not happen.
Right.
Yeah, so, like sometimes you're inspecting a house and You know, one time, people reviewing, a guy getting a compliment, oh, he could see that without even seeing. No, it's not that hard, you know, like Ed knew that my sill, you know, in this area would be rotted. He didn't see it, but he told me, sure enough, he opened it up and it was rotted, but, yeah.
Like it was probably built wrong in the first place.
Or maintained wrong, yeah. Well, you'll see, you own an old house, you have a garage, you have a detached garage on your property.
Yeah.
Okay, that sill is on the ground, right? You don't have, your garage isn't up on a foundation like they would, like a modern garage.
The garage is raised up a little bit.
Okay, so they raised it up, they corrected that then, right?
Yeah.
But that's why they raised it up, because the sill was on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they raised it up, so that's been addressed.
Mm-hmm.
But if I went to one of your neighbor's properties, something which they didn't do that, then they're probably having problems with the sill, or had problems with the sill, you know. Have termite problems, or had termite problems, you know. You just know what to look for.
Mm. The sill is just where it meets the ground?
Yes, so normally you go to a house, like here, wasn't that long ago, maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I sold my house in Comac, bought another house. And I told my wife, I said, if you pull up in your car with the real estate and you see that house is down to the ground, like this, you don't see any separation between the siding and the ground, don't get out of the car. I don't want it. I want to see a foundation. And then my sill on top of that foundation, and then the house frame from there, and everything can pitch away. When it comes down to the ground, I don't want the house, I don't want it.
Right.
Don't get out of the car. Yeah. But you do see that sometimes. You drive around, you know, you'll see, yeah, drive around your neighborhood. Certainly wouldn't be prevalent. You might not see it now, you know, codes are stricter now, but you would see it. You know where you sometimes see it. We see it in Levittown here. Those Levittown houses. You ever read about Levittown?
No.
Yeah, okay. Long Island, everybody knows Levittown, but Levittown was built for the GIs coming home from World War II. That was a new way of construction. They put the house on a slab.
Mm-hmm.
So that slab a lot of times is too close to the ground. This house is a very good home. The termites, for more than one reason, close to the ground, that's conducive. Termites, subterranean termites, come from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Close to the ground, more. Like you have a foundation like this, you have a foundation on your house.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation like you might see a mud tube come up. You know.
Never heard of a mud tube.
Yeah, that's good though. It's not. None of this is you know, really hard to learn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we have the internet. We could look up, you know, what's termite mud tube look like? Once, let's say, I was doing inspection, you came and I saw mud tube and I pointed out to you, you got it then.
Mm-hmm.
Termite damage, then you got it, you know. That's what happened. I remember there's wood destroying insects. We've got termites, carpenter ants, powder post beetles. First time I went to a house, probably in Lindenhurst or something, down by the shore, and I'm prone to termites because of the salt water environment's not good for termites. But they had powder post beetles. I'm in a crawl space, and then you know, see the little holes like diameter of a ballpoint pen. You know, the ink in the ballpoint. You know that shaft in a ballpoint pen.
Mm-hmm.
That diameter. You see holes in the wood. But a lot of times you bang on the wood and powder falls out. So I made that description to you. If you saw damaged wood from powder post beetle, you'd probably have it now. You know? So termites, and I know they have them in Jersey too, but termites cannot see the light of day. Termites that are destroying the wood. They come from the earth, but they get their moisture from the earth. So for them to get to that sill, and you have a foundation like this, they build a mud tube. It's like an exterior tunnel, and then they could run back and forth in that tunnel into the wood, but they haven't seen the light of day. You scrape that mud tube where there's, for them to get light, and they can't live.
I never knew that. Very interesting.
Yeah, but not hard. So what I did for a long time, so I worked for a company. I had a job. I was a fireman in the city, and I wanted to make side money. So I started inspecting houses for somebody in Brooklyn that trained me. That's where it was usually. There was no classes like this. I would have a business inspecting houses. You would maybe want to get into it. Maybe I'd hire you and train you. That's how it was. There was no school. Never. You know, until I had licensing. You know, you didn't even need a license. You know, that's only 20 years ago. We have it from 2005. You didn't need a license to inspect a house. To say I know a lot about houses, I'll go inspect the house. Yeah. So, but one of my jobs, I worked for Housemasters. It was a franchise out here, and then I moved out further out in Long Island. I used to live in Queens, and I had no side job. Oh, I knew how to inspect houses. I had experience. And I signed on with Housemaster, and Housemaster had a termite guy that I would see all the time.